How's everyone doing? Good. All praise to the Most High. So now, at this time, we're going to continue where we left off last week and breaking down the understanding of the book, Ecclesiastes, precept upon precept and line upon line, okay? So we get a thorough understanding in terms of what it is that we're reading and what else, we can, I would say, what else we can apply it to, okay? Uh, Across various spectrums in our personal lives, as well as making sure we're able to teach others to do the same, okay? And that first deals with us making sure we have a good understanding. So let's get into it. Ecclesiastes, the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 2, and let's go ahead and read verse 1. Ecclesiastes, chapter 2, and verse 1, and it reads, I said in mine heart, a heart being what in this context? Mind, good, your mind. I said in my heart, meaning my mind, go to now. I will prove thee with mirth. What do you think prove means in this context? Okay, good. We get prove in the Strong's Concordance. It gives us H5254, okay? Nasa or Nassau. A primitive root to test, by implication to attempt. So that's what you're dealing with. So you're dealing with, he is testing. He said, I will test thee with mirth. Mirth is generally happiness, joy, pleasure, things of that nature. When you're mirth, that's gladness, joy, happiness. So I'm trying to test these things. Therefore, enjoy pleasure. And behold, this also is vanity. So why is so much pleasure something that's vanity? Because at the end of the day, if you spend too much time with pleasure, is any work going to get done? No. And the work's still going to be there. So, and at the same time, it's very much so temporary. So understanding that, we understand that there's a limit with these things. There's a limit that should be there in order to make sure that you're maintaining a healthy balance. Otherwise, you can want to stay in that state or obsessed to be in that state that isn't necessarily going to be very conducive, okay, long term. So that's what he's saying, that, man, I proved, if I just spend all my time in pleasure, like, man, it's a lot of things don't get done. It's not bearing as much fruit. So now verse 2. I said of laughter, it is mad, and of mirth, what doeth it? He said, man, if with laughter, it's mad, and in this way, it's foolish. It becomes foolish. Because even if I spend all my time, now you can watch comedy from the comfort of your home. You can watch stand-up comedy and shows and things of that nature, and in the moment, it's good, but then you still gotta, again, go back and deal with the rest of life's problems. So it has to be a momentary thing. You have to visit. You can't stay there. Otherwise, it's not really going to do you any good if you have to still come back and step back to reality. So 3, I sought in my heart, meaning I was seeking in my mind to give myself unto wine. Now he tried wine. What if I did drink more? I drunk more than what I would normally do. What if I give myself more over to wine? He said, yet acquainting my heart, meaning my mind, with wisdom. He said, yet, but don't think I was just drunk all the time. I'm not saying that, but I'm just drinking more frequently, So, yet acquainting mine heart with wisdom and to lay hold on folly. Okay, acquainting my heart, my mind with wisdom, but yet still I'm able to lay hold, I'm able to reach into some of these things that are a little foolish. And especially understanding that's what happens when you drink. You get an understanding of certain things. Like, all right, I can see what makes somebody start acting more like this or talking more like this if they begin to drink and start getting a little tipsy, as they say. So, till I might see what was that good for the sons of men, which they should do under the heaven in all the days of their life. Now he deals with other things that he started to do. I made me great works. So he started doing other things. great works. Like what? I builded me houses. I planted me vineyards. So all the things he's saying, like some of this, man, I planted me some vineyards. I built me some houses. There's all the stuff he's saying that he's done over, the time of his life and his livelihood. So remember, this is Solomon speak. He's the king. So he said, all these things I've done, man. I built vineyards. I built houses. I've multiple. So I made me gardens and orchards, and I planted trees in them of all kinds of fruit. I made me pools of water to water therewith the wood that bringeth forth trees. I got me servants and maidens. I had servants born in my house. Also, I had great possessions of great and small cattle, above all that were in Jerusalem before me. Verse 8, I gathered me also silver and gold, and the peculiar treasure of kings and of the provinces. The provinces are the small regions within a larger area. Okay, so within the kingdom, you can think about it like if you have a county, you have various cities within that county. Think of that as far as like the provinces. Okay. So I got me men singers and women singers, and the delights of the sons of men. So, and he's saying delights of sons of men, that generally everything it is that those of, in terms when you're looking at a more carnal mindset, that everything man is seeking, I was able to get those things and have those things. So, reading on, as musical instruments and that of all sorts. Verse 9, so I was great and increased more than all that were before me in Jerusalem. Also, my wisdom remained with me. Now, why did he say that? My wisdom remained with me. Because the time that all this was published, it wasn't something that he published and wrote all these things when he was like in his 20s. So these are things in his 60s, 70s, 80s, working on these things as he was getting older. And that most of these things were written by the time he became an elder. So that's why he said, my wisdom remained with me. As I got older, I was still able to retain that wisdom, retain that knowledge and understanding, and to be able to do these things and still guide and see these things successful. So a lot of these things were being gathered and accumulated over time, but it was like, man, he made it a goal as he was older, like, man, I want to preserve a lot of these things of wisdom for my people. And especially if you read, a lot of these things were especially done after both King David and King Solomon fell into sin. That's when they made especially a priority to teach wisdom unto their people, to learn from my mistakes, learn from the things that I've had. And so you'll read a lot of that as, you go through some of these books. Okay, like Psalms, Ecclesiastes, Wisdom of Solomon. A lot of these things came as, they grew old in old age, 60 plus. So that's why he said that. So I was great, verse 9, so I was great and increased more than all that were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained with me. Verse 10, and whatsoever mine eyes desired, I kept not from them. I withheld not my heart from any joy. For my heart rejoiced in all my labor, and this was my portion of all my labor. He said, look, everything that I generally desired, I went for. That's what it is that I did within my mind and my spirit. And this was also the fruit of my labor. If I built houses, I want to enjoy them houses. Built vineyards, want to enjoy them vineyards. Because that's part of the blessing too that is written in the scriptures. If we're obedient unto the Most High, we get to have those things and receive the fruits of our labor. It's only through the curses and disobedience that now we don't get to enjoy it. Someone else gets to enjoy it. Or you're working more than being able to reap. So doing a lot of sowing, but yet and still you're gathering little in, reaping little in. Now, verse 12, and I turned myself to behold wisdom and madness and folly. So he said, even after all this, I still have to turn and meditate on all of it. So he's gathering all this up, and he's saying all this because a lot of the points he's going to disclose as you read on. So, and it says, for what can the man do that cometh after the king, even that which hath already been done. So who can do greater than the king? He said, can't nobody just top the king, because the king has the most resources, the most wealth. The king is usually at the top of generally everything that you can acquire that's tangible. So who can outdo the king? It said they can only do that which has already been done. So, and he's making a point of all that. You can only do what's already been done. And let me walk you through. 13. Then I saw that wisdom excelleth folly, as far as light excelleth darkness. So he's weighing all these things in the balance and saying, look, at the end of the day, no matter how much you give yourself over to some of these various devices and some of these various things, and you're weighing, well, what is it? Which one is better? And what's the better life? It's, man, at the end of the day, wisdom is the principal thing. Gather wisdom. Wisdom is going to far excel any of the foolishness and nonsense you own or probably want to be on. As far, like you said, as far as light excels that of darkness, it's always going to overshadow. So because some people might say, man, what's the point? What's the point in reading this and studying this or trying to get better in that? Like, I don't need to know it. I can do without it. I can just do this. You got people that do that. Or even if you see people nowadays with like social media, I can do something foolish on social media and make some money versus me going to school, learning this trade. You got a lot of people doing that. And it's like, nah, still, yeah, let that be something you do on the side, but still pursue something of value. Still pursue something else instead of you just, standing on crates, and making people laugh or doing things that you could possibly hurt yourself, because you realize even if you're making certain things now, people, that's not going to continue, long term. Certain jobs, certain things people do, it's only going to be good short term, very short term. So neither be only things you can do when you're more able-bodied, when you're very young, or things that people only going to, look at you in that light or deal with you in that way because you're within a certain age bracket. Once you get in an older age bracket, people ain't going to be tuning in the same, So you have things that nature, depending on whatever content is being produced to, cause people to laugh or do, foolish things, dumb things, or nonsensical things. It all depends. There's a lot of different content on social media nowadays, right? And everyone's trying to get their 15 minutes, hour, whatever it is of fame and get their likes and their views and try to get some money. But a lot of that stuff it's not going to last, and let something happen, as they say, God forbid something happened to, one of those platforms getting shut down or rejected, like, the whole thing like with, TikTok and things that nature going on in America that, a lot of people lose their money, things that nature. So it's good to have backup plans, good to have other avenues and things that, man, if that fails, I can still do this. So things of that nature. So now, verse 14, it says, the wise man's eyes are in his head, but the fool walketh in darkness. And I myself perceived also that one event happeneth to them all. So he's saying a few things. Why would he say the wise man's eyes are in his head? You know why? Because a person that has wisdom, one of the biggest things that they're focused on, because the eyes is what you're able to see, perceive, and focus. One of the things that they're trying to focus on is their thoughts. And within their thoughts, the things that they should be meditating on and thinking about. You know what? Dang, why do I need to do this? Or, nah, that don't make no sense. I shouldn't do that. Nah, I should do that. This is the wiser way. This is the wiser way to execute. So things of that nature. This is why it's saying the wise man's eyes are in his head, because he's constantly in a state of meditation, thinking, processing, planning. And it says, but the fool walketh in darkness. Why? Because someone who's more of a foolish nature, they're not moving in wisdom, they're not even thinking about wisdom. That's the point. as they say, and it's not even a situation where the lights on, nobody home. It's like, man, the lights is off. Where's their mindset at? Where's their spirit at? Their mindset isn't focused on anything productive or trying to build. And you see that with some people. That's why some people have a disconnect or harder connect, because I can see you're not about nothing. You're not trying to build in any sort of way. You just on foolishness. And foolishness is what you thinking about almost 24/7. So you're not trying to do anything that's outside of nonsensical. You have a lot of brothers and sisters like that more in this day and age more than ever, who they don't give a lick about nothing if it's not about something nonsensical or something, whether it's of some foolishness with TV or movies or video games or sports. Something, they're not about anything else in terms of anything that has to do with bettering themselves or helping to better others. So trades, learning trades, teaching trades, hobbies, taking up hobbies and things of crafts, things of that nature, or doing something like, man, what books you been reading that ain't got something to do with something foolish or sexual, just like some knowledge and understanding, a lot of things they be absent, or you be trying to get, have some insightful conversations. They don't want no part. Man, that's too deep for me. I ain't trying to do all that. So just showing where the mindset is at. So, but the full walketh in darkness, but I myself perceived also that one event happened to them all. And we'll read more about that. 15. Then said I in my heart, as it happeneth to the fool, so it happeneth even to me. And why was I then more wise? Then I said in my heart that this also is vanity. Because realizing at the end of the day, whether I'm wise or foolish, guess what? In this life, I'm still going to die. So what made me that much better if I'm still, man, I'm whether you take the wisest person in the world and the foolish person in the world, they both gonna die one day. That's what he's saying. At the end of the day, I can study all these things and still die. So, and sometimes even die first before the person that was foolish. So, still understanding those things. 16. For there is no remembrance of the wise more than of the fool forever, seeing that which now is in the days to come shall all be forgotten. And how died the wise man? As the fool. He said, look, at the end of the day, you can have people, nowadays even worse, you can have people just because they have wisdom, that don't mean they're going to be remembered. You got plenty of wise people. So, but they're not the biggest one that get notoriety. Just because you have some knowledge and understanding doesn't mean people are going to listen to you. Doesn't mean people are going to promote you. And in this day and age, people promote foolishness more than anything. And so that gets promoted. But yet and still, for all the wisdom you gather to learn and understand how to move in this, how to deal and need to be how to be more diplomatic. You have people that learn strategy in terms of war, conflict resolution, and how to speak to people and how to deal in different ways, how to become a economic, planner and so many different things that at the end of the day, they're still going to pass away in the same way as someone who didn't do any of those things. In terms of they're still going to die one day. 17, he said, therefore I hated life. So now he said, it had me to the point where I started to despise life. Because it's like, man, and the reason why, because the work that is wrought under the sun is grievous unto me. He said, because everything you doing day to day, you look at your life and you start meditating on the tediousness aspect of it. And some shows and games, they poke at it a little bit. I wake up, I eat, go to work, I eat, and I sleep. I wake up again, I eat, and I go to work, I come home, I eat, I go to sleep. It's the same monotonous routine. Like, man, this is life. This is living. It's like, man, it's grievous. He said unto me, for all is vanity and vexation of spirit. He said, not only is it vanity, a lot of stuff, it be vexation, it be vexing. So let's read that. What is vexation? Let's get the Strongs. H7469, rehuth, probably from H7462, a feeding upon, that is grasping after, vexation, longing, and striving. You know why? Because a lot of things, realizing I still can't attain what it is I truly seek. So it vexes me. If I can't fix something, like, man, I'm trying to fix it, but I ain't even got the solution yet that I'm trying to get. I'm not there yet. And that's where the big part of that vexing comes from. He says, so like, man, a lot of stuff, I'm still trying to figure it out, and I still haven't attained everything it is that I'm truly trying to get to. So 18. See, yea, I hated all my labor which I had taken under the sun. And there's a reason why he's saying it, because I should leave it unto the man that should be after me. That at the end of the day, I can't take it with me. I worked hard to build and plan and all these things, but I'm only here for a short season. You know, you look at whether it's 50, 60, 70, 80 years, that time goes by fast. Especially we're looking at all the history and time that's passed. And I spent time laboring, hours, days, weeks, months, years, building certain things that all of a sudden I'm going to have to leave it all behind to somebody else. Said verse 19, and it says, and who knoweth whether he shall be a wise man or a fool? To make it even worse, the person coming behind me, whether it be friend, foe, whoever, who's to say if that person's going to even have the knowledge, understanding, wisdom to know what to do with it? You see it all the time with businesses and companies, and it's passed to someone else who they may not have the wisdom in terms of how to run it properly. So it all gets wasted. It falls away. That's a big part, unfortunately, what happens. And for many, even people who leave inheritances for their children, homes for their children, they may not have always spent the time, and most of the time, more so than not, didn't spend the time properly teaching and grooming them to be prepared on what to do with those things. Some, they salvage and learn it along the way. Others, man, at times it falls through. So, and ironically, dealing with Solomon, he's saying this, and his son that was supposed to rule after him and did ruled more in foolishness than wisdom, even though he was in his early 40s when he became king. But whether you're 40, 50, 60, you can still be on foolishness. It doesn't mean you matured. It just means you just had more time on earth to do so. Doesn't mean you learned it within that time. You should have. But again, you know, a lot of things is going to be up to you, you know, and how you choose to develop yourself in addition to the things people are trying to teach you or who you're around. So, and there's a difference too than just observing something from a distance rather than, all right, here, come up, let me actually show you how this is done and why it's done in the way in which I'm doing it. There's a difference. And many people, they're in a place, sometimes parents take for granted, I think, just because I am in a certain proximity, or my children are in a certain proximity to me, that all of a sudden they're just going to turn out this way, when no, certain things you actually have to, you know, be more present and active to help develop in those ways. And those are things that others weren't always doing, even of our forefathers, even of the righteous. So they weren't always there in that way. So now reading on in verse 19 again. And who knoweth whether he shall be a wise man or a fool? Yet shall he have rule over all my labor, wherein I have labored, and wherein I have showed myself wise under the sun. This also is vanity. He said, man, this also is something that become worthless at the end of the day, because I could have gathered and spent years. You have certain movies and TV shows and games that show that, you know, one of which for kids that I like is Sing. You know, that movie Sing. It shows with the koala and the other family that it showed how the father labored, even doing jobs that were, you know, that he was ridiculed doing, you know, and jobs that weren't the most noble. So, and just trying to work overtime to build a better life for his son. But his son was in a place where he was squandering it. He squandered it even after his father passed, and it wasn't put to the best use. And you can be in that. You have parents who try to work so hard to better a life for their children, or for their children to waste it. And you really don't want that. And it said that, man, that's also vanity too, because you're like, man, that was your life's work. My life's work was trying to put my children in a better space. And all of them, most of them, just they squandered it, to change a word. They squandered it, So it said, man, this also is vanity. 21. For there is a man whose labor is in wisdom and in knowledge and in equity. Yet to a man that hath not labored, listen to this. It said, for there is a man whose labor, man or woman, who's working, and they're working in a way, and they're building in a way that's according to wisdom. Like, man, this is a good way. Yeah, this is the way you're out. Yeah, I done built this in this company or this business, and, I done established these apartments or, condos or homes and things I need for my kids, or for my child, and equity. Yet to a man that have not labored, so that now if my child, they haven't gone through that process, they didn't get it out the mud, and you see a pattern of that. When you had parents who had to get it out the mud, and they say they had to carve that path or that road that wasn't carved before them, that they're the ones that have the greater sense of appreciation for what it is that they built, because they had to put in the work. But for the next generation that comes after them, a lot of times that appreciation, there's a disconnect. It's not there because they didn't have to put in the work. It was just handed to them. And a lot of time they're growing up in whatever the luxury their parents had, so they're not used to the hardships and everything else. So they just take it like, this is all I know. Everything's been good. This is how I get things. I don't know what it's like to, go with certain things or not have in certain ways in the way like my parents did, because my parents made sure I didn't have to worry about things, that I had those things. So, and with that, they may not have always had the conversations and then put through some of the tests and trials to determine, okay, well, you're going to have to work for this, or you're going to have to earn this. And this is what I'm going to have you do to work for this or to earn this before I bless you with it. So that it teaches a sense of responsibility, maturity, and that it's not just going to always be handed to you. You have to have that, so that those things are taught and you have that appreciation. So, and then have it to where, okay, if you have this, then I'll give you this next. So a stepping stone. So now, if you will, yet to a man that has not labored therein shall he leave it for his portion. This also is vanity and a great evil. So, and of course, for like I was saying, that's why it's a great evil, because you spend all that time to give it to somebody that's just going to waste it. They say that's a great evil, a great, great evil, because it soils both your name as well as their name. And then whatever that good was, it's just ultimately going to go to waste when it could have been of so much more benefit. So especially to your family and friends, because hopefully you build things that can both help both your family, especially your close family, then, you're more distant, and then, your friends, and hopefully your community as a whole. You're hoping you can have things that help better in those ways. But if it's squandered, all that isn't possible anymore. Verse 22, it says, for what hath man of all his labor, and of the vexation of his heart, wherein he hath labored under the sun? Instead of everything you've been working on, what truly do you have at the end of the day? Verse 23, for all his days are sorrows, and his travail grief. He said, all your day, at the end of the day, man, you working in sorrow, you laboring, stressing, so dealing with depression through all this. So yea, his heart taketh not rest in the night. This also is vanity. You in a place, because you just trying to live and trying to survive, even times at night, because at night you should be able to rest, sleep, relax. The day's over. You should be able to just rest, get a little bit of rest, but yet and still you still stressing. How am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to pay rent? How am I going to, make it? How am I pay my mortgage? How am I going to get food? And how am I going to make sure my kids marry the right person? Man, I'll make sure my marriage stay together. Man, you still stressing over all these things at a time you should be resting. He said, man, that's that's grievous. That's vexation of spirit. So, verse 24. There is nothing better. He said, look, listen to this. This is important. There is nothing better for a man or a woman than that he should eat and drink, and that he should make his soul enjoy good in his labor. This also I saw, that it was from the hand of God. Most High God made it to where, man, you're supposed to be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor. That's how he made it. You're supposed to be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor and have that, like, man, I built this on all levels. Most High God allows you to be able to have children. You're supposed to be able to enjoy them children. Play with them, laugh with them, teach them. Like, man, enjoy that. Most High God allowed you to be able to have a home. Man, you want to be able to enjoy that home, be able to have functions and activities, friends, family over, and like, man, bless your home. That's why even in the law it said, man, if you ain't dedicated your home, man, spend a year, don't charge them with any business. Man, allow them to be able to dedicate their home. Having time to be able to, decorate and get it nice and relax in it, kick your feet up and, run around the house a few times, do a few laps if you want to, set up the home gym, whatever you got. Invite friends and family over, have some time to do that. So, unless you didn't even get to enjoy it because all your time was spent. You just went from working in one state, working hard in another. You ain't even stepped foot into certain rooms. You ain't even had the time to enjoy, certain aspects of it because you just been laboring. Got to be able to have, because it's all to, be able to enjoy some good. Remember, life, Most High's plan for life was to be good and enjoyable and be able to have fun, but just honor me. It only became more grievous through sin. And it still only becomes even more grievous than that due to added sin. Because remember, life became hard at the beginning due to the sin of Adam and Eve. But he didn't take away all the good of life. It just became more hellish and less heavenly. So, due to sin. That's where the blessing in Deuteronomy 28 comes in, 1 through 15, and then the curses, 15 to 68. So 1 through 14 the blessings, 15 to 68 the curses. So, and that came in due to whether you move righteously or you move in sin. So it was same concept. But there's still good that's supposed to be there if we do right in life. 25. For who can eat, or who else can hasten hereunto more than I? He said, look, who can have more of the delicacies and things of that nature more than I as the king? 26. For God giveth to a man that is good in his sight. Listen to this too. For God giveth. Everything you got to understand comes from the Most High. Both the good and the bad, as the scripts say. So, but it says, God giveth to a man or a woman that is good in his sight. So that is good. You got to watch how you moving. Wisdom and knowledge and joy. Those things supposed to come with that too. Wisdom, knowledge, joy, that's all supposed to be part of the package. So, but to the sinner, he giveth travail. If you moving right, whether you moving righteously or wicked, you're going to have problems in his life because it's just part of the journey. And it's just part of life is lifing. But at the end of the day, when you're righteous, you're going to end up having less problems and your path is more clear because certain problems you're going to have, all right, you got to understand it's either a test or a judgment. Either way it goes of the will of the Most High. So, and it's something that you're still worthy of either way. But now it says, and to the sinner he giveth travail, and to gather and to heap up, that he may give to him that is good before God. You got to understand, you may be down for a time, days, weeks, months, years, but eventually, Most High lift you up out of that situation, just not when you want it. But a lot of times you got to understand his time is the best time, because if he would have gave it to you when you wanted it, you probably would have messed it up in one way or another. May not have been ready for certain things, depending on what type of blessing it is. You may not have been as ready economically as what you may have needed to have been, or later you became. May not have been as ready mentally as what you needed to be, or spiritually as what you needed to be. So, but then later on, fast forward, you become more ready. You become more prepared. And then the Most High can increase you a little more. So now it says, to give to him that is good before God, this also is vanity and vexation of spirit. Because it's still like, man, I'm waiting on it, or I ain't got it now. And it's like, dang, well, I just ain't got it now. So it don't help me now. If I'm going to get it later, it's like, dang, I need it now. Like, man, I'm hoping to attain to it, but it's like, got to wait. Let's get into chapter 3. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 1. Here's another important chapter. This is a very important chapter to remember. To everything there is a season. And by season, it's just letting you know it's designating a time, okay? Not necessarily we think winter, fall, spring, summer, but it's just denoting a time. It's from Strong's H2165. And it says from H2163, an appointed occasion, season, time. So you're dealing with an appointed occasion or an appointed time. Hence season. To everything there is a time, okay? Or there is an occasion and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born. There's a time when, hey, that life is coming in, and a time to die. There's going to be a time where eventually you're going to pass away. Someone's going to pass away. A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. That's part of that sowing and reaping. It's a process. A lot of things show you the balance of these things as well. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. That's important too, because everyone might think it's always heal, heal, heal. Nah, there's a time to kill too. So you have to remember that all these things, that there's a time. There's a time. Sometimes we don't like to look at the other side of things. Like how some people want to view God. Oh, God is just always good. He don't do nothing bad. Satan do the bad. Where nah, Satan worked for the Most High. So Most High God, he don't have no issues in his heavenly realm. How's he gonna be God and he have issues in his kingdom? So that's a limited God. But nah, he controls the good and the bad. Satan just is the chief one over the bad that he allows to lead on the bad side. But it's all of him. So now a time to weep and a time to laugh. That at the end of the day, yeah, it's okay. You're going to have times to cry. That's all right. You read many of our forefathers cried. So at various times. But yet, you got to know there's a time to also, laugh as well. You want to have time to laugh, time to enjoy. You don't have to be serious all the time. So have time to laugh. So time to mourn and a time to dance. So all that too. Hey, music on the feast. Hey, some time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. Sometimes we all need to learn this. This is a lot of wisdom too, because some people, they don't have the discretion of these things. They just think, all right, I want to do it. Let me do it. Certain times it's nope, let me refrain. Let me not do that right now. Now's not the time to be doing that. Right now I need to focus. Right now I need to pay attention. Right now I can't be playing around and laughing, Or now's the time, I need to embrace this person right now, Or now it's like, I want to, but now's not the time. You got to learn that, and it's a skill. So it's easy to read it on paper, but then when I'm applying it in life, I may not always be as aware, as active to apply it at the right time. Sometimes them trains be running late or early. So it says, verse 6, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep, and a time to cast away. Sometimes it's like that too. Sometimes it's time, hey, to keep this car, get it fixed. Other times, nah, it's best to sell it and get a new one under these conditions. Well, that's the case. Verse 7, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak. Every time you got an opinion or a thought, an idea, ain't the time to speak up. Sometimes it's, you just need to be quiet on this one. You just need to wait. So, or follow up after. But now it's not the time to, voice how you feel or what you dealing with or going through, But it's important. But yeah, it's not the time right now. Just wait. So it's wisest to wait. Sometimes this isn't the proper audience, or this isn't the proper platform. So verse 8. A time to love and a time to hate. Some people don't like that. They want all love. They don't want hate. Nah, there's a time that right now, yeah, we have to show love. Other time, like, nah, it's time to show hate. So resentment towards this or towards this person for these things. A time of war and a time of peace. There's even a time of war. Some people don't like that. Anything that had to do with conflict, it always must be avoided. No, that's not the case. That's not what the scriptures teach. There's a time for everything. It's just certain times you don't want to deal with that time. You don't want to deal with something we don't want to deal with ever. So we don't want to have to deal with that. So continuing on, verse 9, what profit hath he that worketh in that wherein he laboreth? So at the end of the day, with what it is you're doing, what's the profit in it? 10, I have seen the travail which God hath given to the sons of men to be exercised in it. It's like, man, I've seen a lot of what it is that Most High, he's had men to battle with. So, verse 11, he hath made everything beautiful in his time. Also, he hath set the world in their heart, so that no man can find out the work that God maketh from the beginning to the end. Because at the end of the day, we have so much in terms of this world to worry about and focus on. We don't have time to search out all the details from literally the beginning of time up until the end of time. From both prophecy on the prophetic end to both also the scientific end, there's so much to have to try to understand that a lot of it we're just not going to understand in this lifetime. So 12, I know that there is no good in them, but for a man to rejoice and to do good in his life. He's saying, like, look, in some of these things in life, man, I just know ain't no good in some of these labors and certain things, but that you're able afterwards to enjoy some of these things in life, that come, at the end of it. So some of the stuff, it's just the work. It's just part of the process to get to where you're trying to go. Verse 13, and also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good of all his labor. It is the gift of God. That's a beautiful thing. And it becomes a curse if you ain't able to. And that, as we read in Deuteronomy chapter 28, 15 to 68, like, man, you've built or you've had, but you can't even enjoy. You don't even got no time to enjoy. Verse 14, I know that whatsoever God doeth, it shall be forever. Nothing can be put to it, nor anything taken from it. And God doeth it, that men should fear before him. And now he's putting that, of course, contextually, like things that God has established, like the sun, the moon, the stars, those things he established forever. A lot of things he put there, like all these things with the earth and everything, he put to be there forever. So mankind he made to be continuous. Hey, that's going to be there forever. These things are good. 15, that which hath been is now, and that which is to be hath already been. And God requireth that which is past. He's saying, look, at the end of the day, history just rinse, washes, and repeats itself. It's all a cycle. Same thing that was going on, same thing that's been going on, the same thing that's going on now, same thing that's going to be going on in the future. 16. And moreover, I saw under the sun the place of judgment, that wickedness was there. And that's what we're looking at now. In a place of judgment, and judgment isn't necessarily something that's, cookie cutter and that it's just always bad. Judgment is literally making a decision. When you're judging things, you're trying to decide how should these things go. What should happen in this case. You're trying to figure that out and decide. So you have a situation, and it says, and I saw under the sun the place of judgment, that wickedness was there, and that now the people who are supposed to be making a lot of the decisions, especially in those who are supposed to be in power or rulership, instead of righteous decisions and righteous judgment, you have wicked decisions. So what's there? In the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there. Because you have people, even if it's of our people and our nation, at times, even throughout history, past or present, it means nothing if they wicked. At the end of the day, and sometimes it's even worse when the wickedness of our people compared to some of the other nations. Because at times, depending on how we get, we can take wickedness to a whole new level if we allow ourselves to become that far gone. You see that at times. So now, reading on, verse 17. I said in my heart, God shall judge the righteous and the wicked. Because at the end of the day, the Most High, he's going to judge the righteous and the wicked because he has to make decisions concerning both. That's all judgment is. I got to make a decision. What I'm going to do with you and what I'm going to do with you. So, for there is a time there for every purpose and for every work. So don't think if you've been doing good and your reward appears not, it's coming. You just got to wait on it. And don't think just because people doing evil, it just seems like, man, they getting away with it. It's like, nah, Most High is making it seem as if they're getting away with it. But in their security, that's when all of a sudden destruction is going to come upon them. So it may not happen till a few years down the road, but it's going to happen. It's going to catch them all in due season. 18. I said in my heart concerning the estate of the sons of men, that God might manifest them, and that they might see that they themselves are beasts. So he said, look, concerning the sons of, concerning those, especially when you're dealing with the carnal side, of things, and those that are moving more carnally, that the Most High, he can show them and reveal them unto themselves that, man, that how y'all be moving don't be right. So y'all ain't moving right. That he can reveal and have them come to an understanding like, you know what, man, we got to change. We can't keep living like this. We can't keep doing this. We can't keep moving like this. That's what he's saying. And see, like, y'all moving like beasts. And why beasts? Because I'll put it to you this way. You name an animal, dog, cat, dolphin, is it going to be able to read in this fashion and write and be able to reason in these ways like we are as humans? No. So he's making a point that with us, we have that ability. We should be able to see that, you know what? Nah, this isn't a good way to go about this. This isn't how you should move as a husband. Nah, this isn't how you should move as a wife. Nah, this isn't how you should move in business and be able to change. But instead, we move like beasts, like animals, as if everything is just off of instinct. And as if we have, or rather we lack the ability to reason, become aware of self, and be able to say, oh, snap, nah, I can't move like this because of this. Or I shouldn't move like this, even though I could choose this path. I should not choose this path because of this. I got to change. So that's what he's hoping. 19. For that which befalleth the sons of men befalleth beasts. Even one thing befalleth them. As the one dieth, so dieth the other. Yea, they have all one breath, so that man have no preeminence over a beast, for all is vanity. So he's given both aspects. Now dealing with both us, human nature, as he's saying. A lot of this is just he's dealing with also human nature. Some of the same things that befall animals befall us as humans too. So he's given that as well. But then also, because he's given an explanation, and the explanation is multifaceted. So understanding that on one end, understanding the things that happen to us, like, man, it happened to the animals as well. They live, breathe, and die. We live, breathe, and die. But then also too, because we all have that one breath. And so that one breath of life. But now he says 20, now listen to this. He said, all go into one place, all are of the dust, and all turn to dust again. So now he's saying, look, when we die, they always say, what happens when we all die? When we all die, we all go to heaven. Technically. So, which is, outer space, the above the firmament. So we all go up there back to the Most High. But now it's a place to where, even though all souls, it don't matter if the most wicked person, all spirits go back up to the Most High. So where he stores those spirits. So it's not like a situation where, people think that, heaven's above and hell's below. Not necessarily, it's all spirits go to the same place. So they all go back up to the Most High. And he says that for these bodies, all are the dust. We all come. We're all made of flesh and bone. You seen a human that was born titanium yet? So a human that was born water? A human that was born fire? No, we all the same elements. We go all right back to it. So you don't see no human walking around in some other, form or some other body. So like, look, we're all of dust. We all return back to it. So as people say, we're all here. We all die and all turn to dust again. Now this is important. 21. Who knoweth the spirit of man that goeth upward, and the spirit of the beast that goeth downward to the earth? So he's making a point, because it's all right. Well, with the animals, they die too. Does God keep their spirit the same way and maintain the same way he does ours? No, he doesn't. He doesn't care about their spirit in the same way, because he didn't make them in the same way as he made us. We are the pinnacle of God's creation, because the image he made us in was in his own image. You want to see, I wonder what God kind of looked like. You got the blueprint. That's part of why he's so mad in terms of what we sin, because we're supposed to be in the image of him. Like, look, I made you in my image. And that image is both in terms of knowledge, understanding, and wisdom, and also similarity and structure. Like, man, I didn't make y'all like the fish. Certain people be trying to, compare and we're just animals here on earth, I mean, just look at us. And that's what creates certain other arguments that people may have in terms of just whatever argument. They be comparing us to animals and, primates and canines, everything else. Look at this, we don't eat meat. Look at our canines versus the lions and things. Look, we aren't made to run down and rip a carcass in two. We weren't made that way. He made us to where, how many animals they make it a regular occasion to cook their food. You see the squirrel out there with a pot? For real. It's like, man, all these silly arguments that, people have, it's not the same. No, we've never been out there just, when's the last time you see a human? Oh, snap. You see that gazelle? I'm going to chase it down. My instincts kicked in for a minute. I just had to devour. No, you're not seeing that. He didn't make us like that. We've never been like that. He made us with sense and reasoning to, no, let me hunt down, make something, catch it. Let me cook that, cut it up, skin it, cut it up, cook it. Now I can eat it. There's a difference. So now and then, just because he made us to eat it don't mean eat it breakfast, lunch, and dinner either. There's a balance. A lot of times that happens too. People, when through imbalances, believe that now all of a sudden it's bad. Don't have this, don't have that. When certain things, it ain't inherently bad. It's just you got to watch how you moderate it. And that's where, again, we can make it a lot of stuff look bad, from everything, even the institution of marriage. You got people, no, I couldn't, marriage just hell. I'm already going through hell enough for myself. You think I need, and from both sides, you think I need, some woman over here nagging me and playing in my ear and this, man, I got enough of my own thoughts. And women too. And you think I need some man bossing me and trying to tell me to do this and he ain't doing that. And it's like, man, the Most High made it beautiful. Same thing like with kids. Most High made it beautiful, but we're the ones that mess it up. We're the ones that make everything bad with how we act and what we do. And all he said, Most High said was good. Even the pig, people just think because the scripts say don't eat the swine that it's just all of a sudden bad. No, it's good for its purpose. It's the natural part of the natural select animals are the garbage disposals of the earth. So he's like, yeah, you keep little, Elmore and Piglet, whatever it's, the other one and Charlotte's Web, everything else, and yeah, keep them if you want a little piglet. That's okay. Just don't eat it. Like a dog's an unclean animal. A lot of people like dogs, man's best friend. Just don't eat the dog. So there's a difference. Like you said, 21, who knoweth the spirit of man that goeth upward, and the spirit of the beast that goeth downward to the earth? So 22, wherefore I perceive that there is nothing better than that a man should rejoice in his own works. Now, how you going to rejoice in your own works? You ain't got no works. You have to be able to work to be able to have things. You can be proud and happy that you labored and built. Like, man, I made this. And that's a sense of pride and honor that Most High gave man. It's not just boasting just because I say, like, man, I put this together. I'm happy. Like, you learned as a kid. You build some little Legos. Be happy you build some Legos. And guess what? You can still be 30, 40, 50 building some Legos, but it just becomes that much more spectacular and that much more of a monument, because hopefully you get better and you can actually make that a craft. There's all sorts of things people are professionally crafting out of Legos. Heck, now they got Legoland. Place they didn't build, amusement park for Legos, built out of Legos. That, guess what? That time you spent, you can use it in some ways. And they built all sorts. You could build a structured town out of Legos. Guess what? You can master building sets that you can follow a pattern and then patent that idea and sell that. There's people that sell Legos, and they sell kits. This is the kit and how to make and structure this step by step. It's just how you do it. And that can be a job, even a career. So something that just started from you as a kid, 6 years old, 7 years old, like playing with some Legos. But you can build upon it if you take it seriously. And then if you're taught avenues and introduced to the right people, that can help you. So enjoy the works of your labor, for that is his portion. For who shall bring him to see what shall be after him? Because ain't nobody going to be in a space to where, dang, after you died, somebody going to come get you. Hey, Tony. Hey, look. You remember that stuff you did 10 years ago? Yeah, you've been dead the past 10 years, but look, this is what happened. This is what happened with it. Yeah. Nah, it ain't turned out too good. Yeah, nah, they ain't do right by it. Yeah, I know it was your life work. You spent like 20 years. Yeah, they threw it out. They threw it out. Like you ain't gonna get that. Or like, yeah, your name's going down in the book. They put you in the book in the fine print. You on index, 13, page 559 of the encyclopedia. Paragraph 7. You in there. Yeah, next to the other fine printed name. Yeah. Your work in finding out the key to the, commendus stupendous, that word, they thanked you for that. Your definition was something, man, help contribute to society. Eventually people will discover that word thanks to your legacy. Ain't nobody coming behind you seeing what good or bad became of your work. But, most High willing, you guys enjoyed those 2 chapters. And, next time we'll continue with Ecclesiastes chapter 4 and verse 1. With that, I say shalom.